Once there was a village near a desert. The village had a very wise elder. He had a treasure of experiences. In all matters of importance his advice was bought by all. He was expert in solving the problems of others and he never refused to help others. That was why he had automatically become the head of the village. One year the rains failed. Not a single one drop came down. The harvests dried away. The situation became extremely dangerous. The water sources began drying up fast. All looked up at the elder for guidance. The elder said, "We should wait for some days more. Maybe the rains would come. If it does not come, then we shall think about moving to some other place." An impatient youth mocked, "Come on, old man. Now what's here to wait? We must clear out at once." The elder said, "The haste makes waste. We must make preparations and think where we must go. Then there is question of what shall we do wherever we go." The youth taunted, "Old man, the brain slows down in old age. The body too slows down. There is nothing more here to consider. Put your things on bullock carts and move." Many other young fellows also supported the impatient youth. The elder tried to reason with them but the youth had made up their minds. They loaded their belongings on their carts and left the village warning others, "This old man would ruin you." 3 days hence the elder announced, "There's no hope of any rain. Now we must move. The half of the water of the old well had been taken away by our young people who left earlier. Fill your pitchers with whatever is left in the well. Dig the sand to get some more water. It would be a long journey through the desert. We shall need all the water we can muster." After 2 days of hectic preparations the entire village came on the road. For a long journey on bullock carts. They traveled for 2 days. On the 3rd day, they saw some people coming towards the caravan formed behind a sand dune. They had covered their faces with scarfs and held spears and long handle axes in their hands. They were wearing wet skin dresses. The leader of the masked gang asked, "Brother, where do you go and what is in the pitchers you carry?" The elder told them the entire story. The masked leader spoke, "Oh yes, yes. A few people of your village went through here a few days ago. They were in trouble. A sandstorm had blown only a few hours earlier. The road was covered with sand up to the waist. We helped them out. I advise you to throw those water pitchers here to lighten the burden on carts or they will get stuck in the sand. There is no lack of water ahead. It is pouring down across the desert. See, our clothes are wet." The elderman examined the clothes of the masked man and shook his head. Then he called out loudly to the leader of the masked men, "No, brother. We shall not throw away our pitchers. We shall do as the situation comes further ahead." The masked men tried harder to make them do away with the stocks of water but could not succeed. The village folk trusted the wisdom of the elder. At last the elder signaled his folks to march ahead. The masked leader muttered, "The old man is a fox." The village folk drove through the desert for several more days. There was no sign of any rain. The elder's decision to save water proved very wise. Every drop of water proved life-saving. The water means life and death in the desert. At last the desert came to an end and they could see a green forest. Just before the forest began the village folk found broken down and sand-buried bullock carts along with human skeletons and bones scattered around. The pieces of clothes told them that the things and the bones belonged to the impatient young men of the village who had unwisely defied the elder. The relatives of the dead youth wept. The broken down parts of the carts were collected and the bones were given proper funeral. The impatience had led the youth to their deaths. The elder later explained to them, "To me those masked men looked like bandits. They were armed, and their clothes were wet. They had poured water over their clothes before coming into our way. In the hot desert the clothes dry up within seconds. They were merely trying to fool us. I think they successfully fooled our young men and sent them to the death and looted them." That was the fact. So, friends, moral of the story is try to respect the age and the wisdom of experience. And also be silent, you will get everything in life.